Let's start off with Shi Tian's mono green aggro list. Just love him so much because he just brings something different to the tournament.
Yeah, Lee said that he's trusting his friend's choice in mono green aggro. Again, we haven't seen much of this deck this weekend. We're going to see a lot more of it post-rotation, but this card really riding off of some of these adventures in the Forgotten Realms cards. 4 copies of Ranger class, 4 copies of Werewolf Pack Leader, and this deck has a really powerful curve. We do see it has those 1-drops, it has 2-drops, and then once you start getting to the 4, that's when things can kind of get out of hand. Asika's Chariot, just such a powerful card. You also have Gem Razor to mutate to deal with. We've seen people play a null main deck in this format. If you have access to Gem Razor, you're feeling pretty good about your position.
All right, there's a look at the mono green aggro smash, smash, smash deck. Kai Budde is running Izzet control, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum here. What does Kai need to do?
All right, well, let's take those Cinderclasms, throw them out the window.
Yeah.
Stomp, not great. What Kai's feeling great about? Bernie has 2 copies. Frostbite. He's going to need those Snowlands, but Frostbite will be good. Scorching Dragonfire. So half of Kai's removal doesn't really line up well, which is concerning. Kai is playing an 80-card Yorion deck. But where Kai can try to get an edge, 4 copies of Cure Best the Sea God. This mono green deck will have a really hard time dealing with it. Yes, they could Gem Razor it once it's down, but at that point, the 8/8 Hexproof Kraken has already been made. So for Kai, the name of the game is he just needs to survive. Hope he draws the right part of his deck, and if he can make it to that post-board game with a 1-game advantage, he should be able to board into an iteration of this deck that lines up better.
All right, well, I'm super, super excited to see this match. Chad, I hope you are too. Get hyped. Let's take a look at our feature match here. Shi Tian versus Kai Budde there. You can see his record, including those buys for going undefeated. Izzet control versus mono green aggro. Riley and Corey, take it away.
Thanks so much, Maria. Coverage of the upper quarter final begins right now. Let's get to it. Welcome to the feature match area here. Riley Knight joined by Corey Baumeister. We are beginning our top 8 here. We are heading into the upper bracket here, Corey, as we get underway with Shi Tian facing off against Kai Budde. Kai, he's had a fair bit of time off, hasn't he? This is the first game that he's played in quite a while. Is he 9-0 day one to get all the way into the top 8 as quick as humanly possible? Shi Tian on the other hand, not going to say scraping in because it was a clean cut, but still in 8th. But I love this mono green deck, dude. I mean, sorcery speed for days. Let's go. As much as Kai is obviously a legend, a master of the game, certainly he's going to be put to the test here by this mono green list, and I'm here for it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The mono green list is looking so good right now. It's one of the very rare decks that gets to play Faithless Haven as well. The creature land that we see in Lee's hand up there. It's so good, so powerful. And something that, Kai is not necessarily equipped to deal with is just dealing 3 damage to a lot of things outside of Frostbite, which will be very valuable.
Takes my mind back as well. There have been formats similar to this where, there's been a magic number of toughness. Remember a couple of years ago with Courser of Krufix in Standard, dominating Standard, 4 toughness, unkillable. If you had a 3-drop 4 toughness like Courser of Krufix, end up with quite a slow Standard format as a result, big defensive creature like that. And here, all the best removal spells do 2 damage, from Stomp onwards. Yep. And so the secret hidden technology of playing a creature what has 3 toughness, I think has actually been a huge boon for Shi Tian.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of why this mono green deck is, making it to the top 8 of this tournament and having any bit of success at all because, well, there's better aggro decks to be playing that take advantage of Edgewall Innkeeper being able to draw a bunch of cards. This deck is not trying to do that, but it's really kind of putting a stranglehold on other removal spells that are damage-based in the format. So a nice deck choice by Lee.
Yeah, it's funny. I was reading some article. I was reading, what was it, the insider picks for the MPL and Rivals gauntlets, and there was a lot of nonsense in there. I'll tell you this. But Yeah, who was it as well? I can't remember which one of the commentators it was, but one of the commentators was pointing out the fact that Mono Green Aggro has got a bunch of new tools, from Werewolf Pack Leader, Lair of the Hydra, all sorts of stuff like that. Ranger class as well. We see one on the screen there.
Yeah.
And touted it, kind of predicted that this was going to be a deck that could make a deep run at this tournament. Who was it? I can't remember which one of us it was. But I tell you what, they were right on the money.
They probably got really lucky. Every time, twice a day.
Really sounded like they knew what they were talking about. Sounded like, and it was really well written as well. They sounded like they were just very handsome too. I got that from reading the text. Like that was what I was inferring from that. It was, it was pretty impressive stuff there. Anyway, doesn't matter who it was. Sure. The point is they're absolutely right. They're a genius. Because here we have Shi Tian comfortably in the top 8 with a deck choice that certainly was what was it? The word? What did I say? Sorry, what did that person say? Whoever they were, what did they say? Flying under the radar. That's what they said. Whoever that person was. Anyway, certainly doing that here. Okay. Lovestruck Beast getting it done in conjunction with this Ranger class. Can't attack as of yet, but still a handful of business. A couple of Gem Raisers and the Asika's Chariot here as well.
Yeah, no 1/1 to be able to turn on this Lovestruck Beast to be able to get it in there. And that is kind of the bigger problem when you don't play Innkeeper with this is, you have a lot less 1/1s. It's still an extremely powerful card, and you still have some other ways to be able to get it to attack, but not as many as you see in some of the adventure shells.
So we're going to see Jasper Sentinel join the party after Asika's Chariot is dealt with handily by that Disdainful Stroke. Disdainful Stroke, a useful tool in this matchup. It hits quite a number of very powerful and very important cards for the mono green deck, namely Asika's Chariot, of course, Primal Might if it gets too big. Great Hinge is really what you're wanting to snipe with that sort of stuff. But this green deck is so low to the ground, man. It's so low to the ground with some of the starts that it can have with stuff like Lovestruck Beast. Werewolf Pack Leader is obviously huge as well and can give you a source of card advantage if it goes uncontested. Swarm Shambler as well gets the party started nice and early. So I don't know, man. I like this deck. I just like the fact there aren't instants in it, man. This so much. I mean, who's got the time? Wait to cast this, activate this. In your upkeep. Oh, mate, I'm busy. I got stuff to do. Just sorcery speed. My turn. You're done. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Play stuff before you attack, so you can only just click the one button of attack all. But
one main phase. Who needs the second one?
Absolutely. What we're seeing here, though, from Kai next turn is just be able to jam land 7 and play Kiora Best the Sea God. And looking at what Lee has available, sure, you can destroy Kiora Best the Sea God to stop Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 from happening. But as it stands, just the 8/8 Kraken is looking extremely good on this battlefield.
Yeah, it's obviously a really nice thing to have. Wow, look at that. That just for Sentinel hitting the gym, getting huge, and it's going to get in here for 5. The trade offered with with Bone Crusher Giant, but Kai just takes 5 on the chin. We're going to see the Kiora Best the Sea God here. This is not
Release the Kraken.
This is not the knockout punch that would be in so many situations because of those gem raisers. The 8/8 certainly is something to deal with, but there are ways, right? Great Henge is a good way to start to get a digging into your library. But even Ranger class with its future sight ability, I think will be key here for Shi Tian, because I don't know how aggressive Kai can actually get. I mean, he can't trade the Kraken off favorably. If he attacks with it, it trades with a 5/5.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do some Cinderclasm tricks that essentially deals an extra 4 points of damage when you can, essentially deal 2 to Lovestruck Beast, 2 to Gem Raiser, and then it's at least trading with the Kraken in here, which isn't bad. I wouldn't even be too shocked. I guess with so many Gem Raisers, a hard cast Shark Typhoon is not going to come up a lot, but even just double cycle Shark Typhoon over the course of the next 2 turns, make a 5/5, maybe make a 6/6. That's still going to be pretty tough. And even if this Kraken gets in here, we know that the kind of coast is clear for this double block, but Lee doesn't know that. If there's a Burning Hands or something and you get 2-for-1 tier where essentially you just kill the Lovestruck Beast before damage, all of a sudden the game's just over.
Okay, maybe the Kraken's a little bit better. The Shark certainly is something that I'd be more worried about in Lee's position here. I think even the fact that the Gem Raiser has flying, and I think Kai's just going to go for the big Sharkos here. Well, Faceless Haven off the top's not what he wanted to see.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a level up on this Ranger class and hope to just kind of do some crazy stuff here and just try to go off, play a bunch of creatures, end the turn basically after you've played 1 or 2 creatures, hope there's a Great Henge on top, and then go really off with Ranger class and Great Henge is something. Hey, speak of the devil, there it is.
All right, let's have a look. Great Henge on the top, and that's going to cost us 2 mana here next turn. So that's where it starts for Lee. But Budde here with Shark Typhoon. First one going to come down for 5. If he draws a land at any point here, he can make another one for 6 next turn. That's a quick clock.
Absolutely. And that is the one creature that I think Kai is going to be completely fine to send in there. That's somewhat interesting. Double Cinderclasm would deal with the Gem Raiser as well as the Bone Crusher Giant, but that's still 4 damage on the Kraken, so the Lovestruck Beast would still be able to trade. So something we probably won't see pre-combat or even on Kai's turn, but something to keep in mind for, you know, an end step where Lee plays a bunch of creatures.
The other thing that Double Cinderclasm can do is clean up Faceless Havens. It's actually one of the few answers, the few reliable answers that Kai has to that card. So Double Cinder here could do some work. Right now, I think we're probably just going to see an attack with a Shark. Any reason not to attack here? Kai's taking his time with this decision.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Getting there.
Frisky. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's no reason to not attack with just the Shark, and there is some reason to just get in there because the Ranger class is one card that you can just pull ahead with, and you can do some just absurd things where Kai is pretty set up to answer stuff on a 1-for-1 basis, and even this stroke for the Great Henge is going to be great. Huge advantage to Kai so far.
I think here, buoyed by the fact that he's got these Double Cinderclasms, he's attacking with some pretty unbridled aggression here. Right? You can fire up the Cinderclasm and just use it as a way to kill the Lovestruck Beast. He'll be very happy with that. That's a good result.
Yeah. That was probably best possible for Kai. I think Kai still didn't want to see the double block on the Kraken, but like I was saying earlier, it is risky. If you double block and there is a Burning Hands, you know, you just fall so far behind.
It's disgusting, exactly. All right, Great Henge off the top now costs 5, but doesn't matter how much it costs. That Disdainful Stroke is going to put paid to it, you would have thought. The other thing I've just realized as well that is that Kai is playing Field of Ruin, so those Faceless Havens actually aren't as much of a threat as we might have first imagined they were.
Very true. And now, I mean, it's looking like when you're at 7, what really can be done from Lee? I'm not really seeing a way out of this. I guess if you just play Gem Raiser and Wolfpack Leader, that would at least keep you alive because you can block the Kraken. But more than likely, we're still going to see the Great Henge because it's really the only way Lee can come back into this. Disdainful Stroke's going to deal with it, and then we're probably going to see this game come to a pretty short conclusion.
Yes, indeed. So in comes the Gem Raiser, picks up a counter from the Ranger class. That knocks off a mana from the total casting cost of the Great Henge, but it doesn't matter how much money you pay for it. The mana value is still 500,000. And it's always going to be Disdainfully Struck. Doesn't matter how discounted it is. Even if you paid 2 mana, the Disdainful Stroke will still hit it. And as a result, the Great Henge not so great after all. The Mediocre Henge.
Ooh, that was big. Hitting a 1-drop on there just to be able to have a chump blocker.
Yeah, blocks the Shark. Blocks the Shark.
Yeah.
Need be, otherwise can just chuck itself in the way of that 8/8 Kraken. And Budde here can make a 2/2 Shark, or actually, I mean, no, he can't. He can't kick the Cinderclasm.
Yeah, can't kick the Cinderclasm, and a 2/2 Shark would still die to this kicked Cinderclasm if that's Kai's plan. So we also have the sack Omen of the Sea to just try to find something to clear this pack leader. You know, a Burning Hands, for instance, would just be lethal with Cinderclasm plus Burning Hands. So yeah, that makes more sense to me. I'm calling it this match.
Burning Hands off the top as well. Very, very nice here for Budde as he bottoms a land there.
This game.
So Cinderclasm kicked. That gets rid of the Jasper Sentinel. Burning Hands to finish off the Werewolf. We'll talk about some bloody overkill. Kills that pack leader Stone Cold dead, and he is now an attack for 13. And that's all she wrote for game number 1. Kai Budde getting across the line. He did seem a little nervous about this matchup, but certainly the removal that he had lined up very, very well against what Lee had. And the mono green aggro deck unable to really find its footing in that situation, Corey.
Yeah, Kai was a little worried about the matchup, but at least the prophecy of Kai not losing on Sunday has carried him at least through the first game. We'll see if it continues with some extra inclusions here. We have 2 more Burning Hands, which is going to be awesome. Going up to 4 of those is insane, but we do got to remember this is still a Yori index. This is an 80-card deck. Drawing those is slightly less likely, and that is the cost for these 80-card decks. And then you get Snakeskin Veil for Lee, which is really brutal at protecting a key creature from one of those Burning Hands.
Yeah, we've seen cards like this get better and better as time has gone on. You know, we started with stuff like Ranger's Guile, and now we have things like Blossoming Defenses, all the way through to Snakeskin Veil. This card's really good. It's going to be great against the spot removal that Kai has brought to play with. The thing is, Kai isn't playing sweepers, right? Like Cinderclasm is, I guess, technically a sweeper. It's staying in the main deck here, but there's no Wrath of God. There's no Mutilate Languish. There's no even like what's the giant saga, the Battle of Frost and Fire that deals 4
Battle of Frost and Fire. There's like Storm's Wrath, which doesn't even kill like Lovestruck Beasts and stuff.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's just not a lot of tools from the Izzet color pie to be able to just Wrath a board.
What do you think of this hand?
Great from Lee. It looks like
I thought you were looking at Kai, so I was like, Corey, it's actually very bad.
Yeah, no, Kai's hand is a little more to be desired from. That is not so good, but for a mulligan from Lee, that is really all you want. And it's just really a close. Lee's not contemplating keeping or mulligan. It's definitely going to keep this, but just how do you want to curve out? This hand curves very well. And, you know, probably Mammoth or Questing Beast is the consideration there, but I don't expect that one to be kept there from Kai. That's
I think it's the Mammoth. I think it's the Mammoth, just because you do have that 1, 2, 3, 4 curve out so neatly, and you probably will draw. But it's going to be the Questing Beast instead. Okay, fair enough for Shi Tian.
Yep. I think I would have did the same, but I think it's close, yeah.
The Mammoth does hit very hard indeed here. So now you can see Shi Tian sitting there with his forest ready to go, but still waiting for Kai to mulligan here.
It is a 5-card hand from Kai.
Dear. So that's a stinker. That's a real stinker here. An unfortunate situation for the German juggernaut.
But hey, this is about as good of a 5 as you can get here. We got the best removal spell in the form of Burning Hands, and you have 2 very good removal spells as well. So one thing Kai really doesn't want to see, well, there's a few things Kai doesn't want to see, but one of them is really Ranger class. That card that can just pump all your small creatures. All of a sudden you're putting an equity on Kai just having to kill everything, because every creature would get out of hand, including this 1/1.
So good, man. Ranger class does it all. Provides you with a body, pumps it up, later on gives you a source of card advantage. You love to see it. And just a main phase stomp here on this wolf before anything can go wrong. Kai will be anticipating these Snakeskin Veils. We're probably in a situation where he will main phase a lot of these removal spells when Lee is tapped out as a result. Down comes Kazandu Mammoth. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of, traditional Magic, right? Like, have a card to play it right away, because that's just what 2 Snakeskin Veils is going to do to how Kai is going to play the game. So normally you want to be really patient and wait to see maybe Ranger class would put a counter on a 2/2 wolf or something, and you can kill it in response, but you just can't risk the blowout of Snakeskin Veils. So it's going to change how Kai plays the game quite a bit.
Glowing cards mode, mate. Glowing cards mode. Click the glowing cards. Easy. Easy game. So Kai here facing a different, a problem of a different kind. We're going to see a main phase Burning Hands once again here. No lands. And that's really going to bite him on the bum. He does have Omen. I guess there was probably a consideration to go Omen, try to find an untapped red source, and then Frostbite. But you would actually have to find exactly Snow-Covered Mountain to do that. So maybe.
And it wouldn't have even dealt 3. So that play was not great.
With the Snow-Covered Mountain?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a temple. Sorry, I thought that was
the temple.
I thought that was the Snow Jewel. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're right.
So that would be brutal. We're really far away from getting those 3 snow permanents. So Frostbite is just going to be a shock for a while. And yeah, as it stands, it's not looking too great. But having this 1/2 punch here, or 1/2 stomp, I should say, to deal with Gem Razors, all of a sudden now we just have to deal with a Ranger class heading to level 2, and then probably a Lovestruck Beast. Kind of awkward with beefing up your 1/1, where Lovestruck Beast can no longer attack.
Yeah, so we're seeing Shi Tian here attack before activating Ranger class. He may not even do it. He may just go Lovestruck Beast into the Swarm Shambler here. No, he's going to activate it. Yeah, so an odd thing to see there, but this obviously guarantees, well, not doesn't guarantee, but makes it much more likely that the Lovestruck Beast to be able to attack next turn. Kai finds a land. It is a snow-covered mountain, a little bit closer to turning on those frostbites in case he draws any more copies, but it's just going to be Boney G here as the play for the turn. And, you know, it's weird describing a 3-mana 4/3 as anemic, but certainly on this board it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Not necessarily going to be amazing, but paired up with another one, even if this Ranger class puts a counter on Lovestruck Beast, take 6, play another Bone Crusher Giant, Lovestruck Beast comes in again as a 7/7, at least you can double block and take it down. And all Kai wants to do is just trade resources over and over again until he gets to just best all the Sea Gods out there and just jam this Kiora Best the Sea Gods.
So Swarm Shambler, Ranger class revealing that there's just a land on top. That's not what Lee wants to play. What he wants to see here. But in with the Lovestruck Beast, who gets all the way up to a 6/6. Kai having a quick read of Swarm Shamble. It's got a lot of text for a 1-mana card.
Yeah, a really strong card that is really only played in these mono green decks, but a really nice one to mutate your Gem Racers onto because you maintain the counter and the ability. And the counter is just summing it up where if you try to deal with one of the creatures, a 1/1's going to come around to hang out a bit.
That's a hot draw here from Kai, and I love this scry as well as he sends Kiora below decks. He's not going to cast the Bone Crusher Giant this turn. He knows that because he's got Essence Scatter up, so you may as well main phase the Omen, try to find the land, which he does. Oh, he is going to cast the Bone Crusher Giant, not going to hold up the Essence Scatter here. Okay.
Yeah, I think I like that. Essence Scattering just the top of the deck, and speak of the top of the deck, look at that hit.
That's
there
the thing.
from Lee.
Questy B off the top, and Kai, a bit of a shake, a bit of a nod of the head there. Kind of wishing he'd probably kept up that Essence Scatter now with the knowledge that there is the Questing Beast on the way, but at the time he made the best decision possible.
Yeah, and look at that. The only thing Lee is thinking is, God, I wish this Questing Beast could just have one more power and toughness and really make it near impossible for any blocking. And luckily, Rangers class is going to come and do just that onto Questing Beast. It's going to make it really tricky here for blocks for Kai.
Yeah, Questing Beast, there's no clean trade offered now thanks to the Ranger class. We imagine that it will be the one to pick up the counter. I think there's some debate in Lee's mind as to whether he's going to attack with the Shamble. And you know what? You may as well. It's very, very low chance it's going to get blocked. I guess if you just attack with everything, like you're just putting through extra damage here.
Yeah, this is a nice attack by Lee because if this is how the attacks go, if Kai wants to just block each Bone Crusher Giant to the 2 1/1s, well, you lose. If you want to double block Lovestruck Beast, well, you get that extra 2 points in there. So I kind of like the attack all. It puts Kai in a pretty rough spot where I don't think Kai is going to block with one Bone Crusher Giant and chump block. Like he's really priced into double blocking one of these creatures. It's just, does he value getting Questing Beast into the graveyard or Lovestruck Beast more? And in trouble either way.
With this double block, it doesn't matter which way he does it. He loses both. Like this is a clean, well, not 2 for 1 because the Stomps did take care of some creatures previously, but you understand what I mean. Shi Tian here is able to use one of his creatures to clean up both of those, even on the Questing Beast, of course, because it has Death Touch. And so the decision made to get rid of Lovestruck Beast.
And now there's got to be something on the top for Kai, otherwise he's just dead next turn. And with that Primal Might on top of Lee's deck, I don't think there's actually an out. Like Burning Hands would be able to deal with Questing Beast or something like that. It's probably not another Kiora Best to see God.
Another 7-drop certainly isn't going to do it here. Another 7-drop certainly isn't going to do it. Omen of the Sea. Let's have a look at what we could have drawn, what could have been. In the Twilight Zone. Oh, the Burning Hands on top as well, but it's not enough. And Kai packs him up. We're going to go to game number 3 here. Shi Tian, much better showing from him. After, of course, let's not forget Budde mulligan to 5.
We just learned so much about Kai there. I mean, a lot of players, the constant debate of do you look at the end of the game or do you not? I think we know Kai looks because since you can't keep peeking on Arena, if you sack an Omen, you can at least look before you concede the game.
You never look. You never look.
Never
look, man. Yeah. I'm glad you and I are of one mind here, man. You never look, dude. All downside.
But clearly we're wrong because Kai's the GOAT, so whatever Kai does, we should all be trying to do. So once again, us just being wrong, Riley.
I suppose so.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
So, all right. So much better hands for both of these players here. And a Temple of Epiphany scrying with a Scorching Dragonfire. That's a good one here for Kai as well. Does 3 damage. Almost cheating, really, in this matchup, dealing 3 damage. Imagine that, Corey.
Yeah, no kidding. And speaking of cheating, where you might see a good old-fashioned Ranger class getting Dwari Disruption, and that feels like cheating.
It does feel like cheating when you snipe your opponent with a Mana Tithe like this, when you can force spike him out here with something like a Dwari Disruption. It does feel like you're doing something that should be against the rules, but here it is, Dwari Disruption, and Lee, look at that, reels from that body blow.
Yeah,
and plays Expressive Iteration, and I guess technically does find a land in the form of Dwari Disruption. What's he going to put in hand here? Maybe the Frosty Bite?
Yeah, I think probably Frostbite. There is actually some thought to going Shark Typhoon just because Kai doesn't really have a lot of cards in hand. And like what Kai really wants with a hand that only has like 4 lands and you don't have Cure Best the Sea God or something big to draw to, you want to just kind of cycle and either find more lands or find more Expressive Iteration. So that was probably the card that Kai was really looking for. But, you know, this will do. Kai can just kill so many creatures here where if all Lee is doing is playing creatures instead of something like Ranger class or Great Henge to kind of go over the top, Kai has that covered.
So here's Kazandu Mammoth now, back to Kai, who is looking at some decent removal spells, one of which is going to be fired off here. Of course, main phase, under the threat of a Snakeskin Veil. Double Cinderclasm could do some work as well. It's not very good by itself against this deck, but in multiples it does get a little better. A vanilla 4 forecast here. No silly business with mutating, but it's going to be caught by a Disdainful Stroke. So Budde there, a useful double spell turn for him to really bring the pressure down, Corey.
Yeah, Kai is so far just every step of the way just saying no to everything that Lee is doing. And as it stands, there's nothing too meaningful about to hit. This Gem Razor will be pretty nice at being able to actually be a threat that can get through and not get frostbit. And oh, that was a big draw. Now all of a sudden, all we need is 1 land from Kai, and the 8/8 Kraken that can't get Primal Mighted. It really can't get taken out in any meaningful way at all. And with the Gem Razor being on the battlefield, the enchantment, the saga itself, is going to kind of go off. So 1 land from Kai could really be a stamp into the next round here for Kai.
It's really brutal that this is how it is, especially for Lee, given the fact that Kai is on 20, hasn't taken any damage so far, and that's just absolutely not what you want to see here.
We'll see how Lee plays this here, because you can like Primal Might for 4 and then leave Snakeskin Veil open, attack for 8. And this Frostbite really will not do anything about that. You can also just like Primal Might for 1 and attack with a Faithless Haven. Frostbite would do something in that situation, and I think that's what Lee is kind of playing in his head right now, is like, how can I play around the only card that Kai can have right now? So this will be interesting to see what he does.
See the line he takes here. He does need a plan for that Kraken, which will come down. And, of course, he's already lost 1 Gem Razor. The second one here, cast without mutating, so no answers as it stands to that Kiora Best Sea God.
This is going to be a really big draw step for Kai. If you get land 7, I don't really see an easy way where Lee can come back. If you draw, let's say, another Kiora Best the Sea God or something, all of a sudden I can't see how Kai's going to start falling behind pretty quickly. So this is going to be a huge draw step next turn.
So Gem Razor made into an 8/8 and fights the Yorion. Like that particular noodle has been cooked, and now in for 8 down to 12 off the top.
Kai
finds the
there
land. That's a huge draw. This means that Kiora Best Sea God will come down. The Kraken, of course, has hexproof, so that Primal Might is not an answer to it. I mean, Lee can just buff it to make it a 9/9 or whatever. That's not a winning line.
So Kai can give this +6. That is getting in there for 10.
All right, he's going to do it. I mean, I guess you just got to do what you got to do. It doesn't get rid of the Kraken, but it at least can attack past it. It's got trample, of course.
Yeah, and that's the thing here. There's the one thing about this mono green deck is you don't have that reach like Bone Crusher Giant or something like that. But If you put Kai down to 2 or even down to 3, 3 is probably just about the same. So I think that's what Lee is considering. Should I just leave open a mana for this Snakeskin Veil? And then if you go to 3, all of a sudden you have all these Faithless Havens that Kai has to respect.
Well, here's the thing, right? Yeah. If Gemrazor gets in here, right? If you use this massive Primal Might to force the Gemrazor through, you either get rid of the Kraken, which is great, or Kai just takes it, goes to 3.
Yep.
And then if you draw a land, you can activate 2 Faithless Havens, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And attack, assuming Kai doesn't have it. I mean, we know that Kai's hand is full of business, but is this the line?
And Field of Ruin in play. So.
That's true, yeah. Okay, so I guess Lee's doing his best to try to get into a position where he can win with his creature lands, but that Gemrazor is out of action for the next couple of turns.
Yeah, now is going to be the interesting thing, because as we know, if Lee were to draw land number 8 and animate double Faithless Haven, Kai has that unlocked. So he could go Field of Ruin plus Frostbite, deal with that. Thank you very much. Those are dead. So I love this attack. He has that play on lockdown. But you know what he doesn't have on lockdown? A top deck Questing Beast.
Right.
If Questing Beast is there, I think that would be it.
Yeah, can you just... No, okay, it's another Snakeskin Veil. Yeah, well, Questing Beast isn't it? That question's now academic.
Wait a minute.
Let's see here.
This Faithless... Animating one of these Faithless Haven with double Snakeskin Veil backup...
Is that enough?
It very well could be, depending on what Kai does.
Budde can't cast double Cinderclasm, right? But he doesn't... Oh, no, he can't kick it, but he doesn't need to kick it. He only needs to kick one and then cast the other, and he does have enough red mana for that. So,
look at this.
In response to the activation, which turns off the Snakeskin Veil, so key that Budde did that, and you can see Lee devastated, because if that had resolved as a creature, if that ability had resolved as a creature, right... Mm-hmm. Then the Snakeskin Veil could have saved it, but it's not a creature. Snakeskin Veil can't target a land.
Not even that. Lee is really also upset at himself for tapping both Faithless Havens. If he didn't tap both, now he gets this land,
he could activate the second
and he could activate the other one and have one Snakeskin Veil available. And looking at Kai's hand, I don't think he could have beaten that. Like, you try to Frostbite it, then you Snakeskin Veil. If you go the Cinderclasm plan, you kick one of them and you cast the other one. That would have been the game.
So Lee mistapping his mana into oblivion, and you can see him shaking his head. Oh, he's devastated. The poor bloke.
That would have been game.
Poor bloke. You can see that he knows that he's really, really made a bit of a meal of this. Oh, and your heart goes out to Lee at a time like this, where the slightest misstep like that can have consequences that echo so strongly. Poor Shi Tian there. And Kai Budde given
Kai made a very aggressive attack too. Like, he had a lot of things covered, but he really didn't even have one Snakeskin Veil covered if you really think about it. So Kai's play was really, really aggressive, and it didn't get super punished, but that almost would have cost him the game. That would have been Kai in his picture, putting his hands through his hair as well, and being like, oh no, what have I done? So
poor Shi Tian. Let's not forget it's 6 o'clock in the morning for him as well.
Yeah.
And he's been battling his guts out, fighting so hard. And for this to happen here, it's so unfortunate for him. I really do feel for him at a time like this. My goodness. Kiribati the Sea God is probably going to be enough here, nicking this Gemrazor. Snakeskin Veil says, no, not today. But with all this removal that Kai has in hand, I mean, is it over for Shi Tian here? Is there any way he can claw his way back into this?
I definitely don't think it's over, because now Kai is especially put in a spot, now that Gemrazor is staying on the battlefield, where Kai just cannot attack here. If he had a Storm, if he had that creature land, Storm of the Hall of the Storm Giants, excuse me, then this game ends on the spot, right? But did not have one of those lands. So now it looks like Kai has to hold back, and there are some kind of draws that, could chain this off. Ranger class being the first one that I could think of, but... yeah, it's definitely not over yet, but I would say advantage slightly still in Kai's favor.
All right, here's the Kraken. Let's see if Budde wants to attack with it. Would be extremely, extremely aggressive to do that.
It would be.
Especially with the 2 copies of Faceless Haven.
Yeah, it's rough. If Kai had 1 more mana, he could kick a Cinderclasm, kick a Cinderclasm, play a Cinderclasm, and a Frostbite, and then you feel pretty safe in combat. But as it stands, just being able to kick 1, kick 2, and then have Frostbite or Cinderclasm. Oh man, this second.
All right,
getting
in there.
Veil might get it done.
Kai Budde, he's got rid of 1 Snakeskin Veil. The second one in Lee's hand, however, could prove to be absolutely crucial here. So back to Shi Tian off the top of the library. Let's see what he can find. The draw is, it's a Werewolf Pack Leader.
Depending on what Lee does, I think Lee has this still with that other Snakeskin Veil. And remember, there's only 2 of them. So Kai is looking at the list and he's like, all right, what's the odds you have the other one?
What are the chances, right?
What are the chances
the second one is going to be the thing that wrecks me here? All right. So Lee, after an unfortunate fumble here, a chance potentially at redemption.
So it's going to be very interesting how Lee does this. I think if Lee were to attack with this Gem Razor, and then Kai goes in response, Cinderclasm, I think if Lee responds right away to that and plays the Snakeskin Veil, that it could be his.
Okay,
Let's see what Kai does, because it's going to be complicated.
Faceless Haven wakes up as well. This werewolf pack leader threatening to draw a card here. So, but Kai, a response before we go to attacks. Beginning of combat step, Cinderclasm kicked.
So if Lee doesn't cast the Snakeskin Veil now,
so that gets rid of the pack. Sorry, that puts 2 damage on everything. The pack leader and the Faceless Haven taken down to just 1 toughness remaining. There.
No, I think Lee has this.
A second Cinderclasm. A second Cinderclasm gets rid of the other 2 creatures, doesn't get rid of the Gem Razor, and now Kai will want to finish off that Gem Razor, but Frostbite doesn't do it because you can make it hexproof, and Cinderclasm doesn't do it because the 1 damage
only 1
will
damage.
be the
over.
+1/+1 counter from the Snakeskin Veil is going to be enough. Kai Budde with the Cinderclasm to do 1 damage to the Gem Razor, not going to be enough with the second Snakeskin Veil. Shi Tian redemption after such an unfortunate misstep from him, manages to get across the line all the same. And I tell you what, after a couple of fumbles and stumbles, the feeling of immense relief that Shi Tian must be feeling there, vanquishing one of the best of all time. Corey, his heart must be racing.